Yeah, this is like my one joy. Well, without reservation joy. I love doing this, but I hate getting yelled at. Right for 2 minutes. Good picture. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, not in college, just.
Loop Field, yeah, 3 years back maybe. Loop Field's really cool. Yeah. They were rolling up this and I was like, yeah. And someone brought a lid and was trying to eat that little slope right there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Were they successful?
It looked like they had a couple runs.
That's fun, but yeah, every job she sent on her, she waited to go.
Some good hills around here. We just need a little bit more snow. and more
It's turned down other times. Jason. Jason. You guys look so cute. Good to see you on too. Warm? Okay, my pleasure. All right, I guess the chair.
I do have 2 shirts on, Jeff, you just.
No worries.
Some gal.
Okay. Yeah. Order. Mm.
Okay.
5:45. Everyone good? Are we good? You good? Everyone's good? Melissa, you're good?
We good? All right.
Okay. This Shelton Metropolitan Park District meeting is called to order. Giselle, will you do a roll call, please?
I sure could. I'm sorry if the light is fine. Board member Bush,
Here.
board clerk Stearns,
Here.
board member Nesco.
Here.
Board member Sherman.
Here.
Board member Sapp,
Here.
board member Gilmore,
Here.
and president Gutierrez.
Here. Thank you, Giselle. Let's see. So our first order of business is to select a president and clerk of the board. We will have a clerk of the board. Do board members have a nomination for president?
I nominate Board Member Gutierrez for president.
Do we have a second?
No second needed.
No second?
Other nominations?
Are there any other nominations?
I nominate board member George Blush, please.
All right, we have 2 nominations. Is there a third? Okay, the first,
You close it for nominations now.
Okay.
Then we
are-
vote on the first nomination first.
all right, so we're closing the nominations. And nominations for board member,
Excuse me, I have that wrong, right? Right, just like council, we follow that protocol, we'll vote on the 2 nominations, correct? Thank you. I apologize,
okay?
backtracking to January.
So do we take a roll call vote or do we?
Right.
Okay, so roll call vote for either board member Gutierrez or board member Blush. Do we start with
Start. Member Bush.
board member Blush? Okay.
Board Member Blush.
Blush.
Gutierrez.
Blush. Blush.
That's it.
That's
Right.
4. We have the new president, President Bush.
All right. New thing.
You are now.
Okay, now we're gonna. Any nominations for clerk of the board?
I nominate Melissa Stairs.
I nominate again Board Member Gutierrez.
All right, So we have two, nomination for clerk or such that as carries, so now we're gonna move on to the motion. Or the vote. Okay. So, do a roll call vote, I guess we're gonna start with me, I'm gonna go with, Melissa, I'm sorry.
Myself also.
I'll go to Tara. She's done a great job.
I'll go with Melissa.
Councilmember Stearns.
We've had five
That's
votes. Do we
all right.
keep going?
That's your vote.
Here we go, all right. So we have our new board clerk, is Councilmember Stearns. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the consent agenda.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as published.
All right, take a second. All right, motion seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Meeting minutes. Anybody get a chance to read the meeting minutes?
Yep.
The motion to approve the meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion seconded, and all in favor?
Aye.
All right, now we're gonna move on to general public comment. Giselle, do we have anyone sign up for general public comment?
We do not.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the business agenda. There are no business items this evening. And we're gonna go on to the action agenda. And there are no items on the action agenda. So we're gonna say thank you to Terry and Finance for the clean audit progress last year. And we are gonna. Anyone,
We'll have
you,
administrative report.
the administrative report? Yes, my bad.
Turn it over to Jordan Trumbull.
Yes, hi board, thank you for having me tonight. Just some updates for you, for recreation, we just finished off our winter season and now starting to kick off into the spring. We got spring yoga going on right now, which is on Wednesday nights. Double pickleball league starts in about 2 weeks and we maxed out on registration within just 2 weeks of registration opening, and that opened back in February, so very eager and ready to go for that one. And then we're still slowly starting to plan for summer stuff. It's just around the corner, movies in the park and co-ed softball. So those are coming up here soon. So we're starting to prep for summertime. Arts, it's empty bowl season. If you were here, most of you were here last week. Thanks for coming out. Tomorrow is night 2 where you're gonna come glaze your stuff. And then next Wednesday is night 3 where we have our supporting restaurants. This year we have High Steel, the Olympic Bakery, Taylor's Shellfish, CJ's Corner, Kern's Kitchen, Wild and Woodsy, and then our newest addition is From Yola. So come in next week, get your final product. We ask for a $10 donation, which goes to St. Pantries, and come get some soup and bread and hang out and socialize with everybody. It's a great event. And we also want to give a big thank you to Glenn Helen Studios and Nicole Fraser from Graffiti. They do all the firing for it, which is a huge process, and without them, this project would not be possible. So big thanks to them for their time and efforts, because they also use their own materials and kilns and stuff to do all the firing. On the park side of things, we're in the process of updating our interlocal agreement for the skate park, so we'll be bringing that to you here in April for you to look at. And for our pros plan, we have our survey opening up right now, and we have, as of this morning, 77 responses, which is great. Our goal is to hit at least 200 if we can. And the survey is open through until March 31st, so we still got a couple weeks. So if you know anybody, share it. We have a special page on the website on the Parks and Rec page for our pros plan specifically, has all of our details for that. And we're also planning an in-person open house here at the Civic Center. That will be in May 11th, actually. So more to come on that, because that's just around the corner as well. And then as for our Crosstown Trails project, we'll be doing a study session with you in April to kind of go over our 30% review, and along with going over the pros plan stuff update in April with you as well. And we are currently trying to finalize the scope of work for the phase 2 of the project right now. Other than that, that's about it in our department. Happy to answer any questions.
Just comment and people want to feel bad.
Oh, and I meant to say there's about a little over 300 pieces that was made, if I counted correctly. So it's a good number. Yeah. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. That's gonna bring us to the end of our meeting. Our next meeting will be June 16th, 2026 at 5:45 p.m. And I adjourn this meeting at 5 or 6. No, I'm sorry, you're right, 5:53.
You know, putting it in the chat.
Yeah, so that sort of thing with the urban UGA. If it were to fall within the city, would be.
Sorry, the baby.
That's why well, the county side, I meant, they would would be my catwalk. If we have, or if we have any already, but. So they have.
Yeah, a year from now.
We'd be able to.
I appreciate it, absolutely.
I'm daring to dream.
Oh, and also the facilities. Public facilities.
That's April 4th.
I noticed that.
Yeah, I think the GDC is beyond board, I don't know.
good.
The
I think once.
Chamber of Commerce is here in the city and North Chamber would be into it.
The biggest challenge though is they have to get all this supported.
Yeah.
They can create a tax base, they can use it. But there's a financial first,
Right.
you have to pay for it.
But if we get the hotel and
I forgot.
retail,
Yeah, yeah.
which is what everyone wants,
Yeah, if we could get something that goes.
and that would be the base case for this. And then we can fund all the parks through there as well, and all the historical. Just do we have the will to do it, that's all.
So one of the bills had an extra 100% sales tax, which is, but it was for child services. So broadly, child services.
Right. The council meeting of March 17th, 2026 is now called to order. We're going to stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Val, will you please do roll call?
Right, Councilmember Blush.
Here.
Councilmember Stearns.
Here.
Councilmember Enesco.
Here.
Mayor Sherman.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sapp.
Here.
Councilmember Gilmore.
Yep.
And Councilmember Gutierrez.
Here.
Right, we'll have. Does council have any late changes to the agenda? Seeing none. Great.
Mayor Sherman, if you don't mind, I do have a late change.
All right.
Proposing under presentations, to the MIH update.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna postpone that to April 7th, if you don't mind. We're still waiting for some additional information. We want to introduce new systems coordinator that's recently come on through some SMPD health organization.
Sounds good, thank you. All right. Do council members have any board reports to share?
Mayor Sherman, I have a board report. I have the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board report from March 9th, 2026. There was some talk about the skate park and its renovation and whether or not we'd like to put it onto our long-term planning. Could it be reorganized into a BMX or maybe even a splash pad? Or does it have to relocate, or does it have to be dismantled? And that was all talked about at the meeting. Also, water access was still the #1 want of the community. Also, we talked about a possible public facilities district to fund not only parks, but for location to increase retail and hotels. Also, on March 31st, the online surveys for the parks and recreation open space plans will be ending, so get your public comment. And now we have over 130, and we're looking for over 200 because we had 200 reports last time. There will be an open house in May to talk about the crosstown trail. It's a bit at 60% design, and there are also, let's see, the Empty Bowls is going on the Wednesdays, the next 2 weeks. Walking and biking trails are still #1 in parts of the needs. Environmental outdoor programs was #1 in wants. And the recreation programs are all full coming up this summer. So the parks are healthy, and we appreciate your support in using our parks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes. On March 10th, I attended the county commission meeting. They addressed the the establishment of a clear policy for the 09 funds, which do affect the city. The focus was on improving the transparency and understanding the application process among the stakeholders. So like we weren't notified like last year when it was available to apply for it, so we're working on that, so we can have a clear policy on that. Meeting concluded with plans to revisit the feedback and finalize the policy for future discussion. I also attended the Mason Governance Legislative Board meeting. The CAD system is arriving little by little and hope to have it installed and ready by the end of April. And hopefully then the city can plan their UPS upgrade. They're at a staffing level of 15 on the floor, 2 supervisors and two positions available. Anybody that strong person that would like to apply, I believe, I forgot, who do we use for the police? We use the same one for the apply for the job. What service?
Civil Service Commission,
Yeah,
is it a civil
No.
service position?
I'll report it next time. They received some direct appropriations from the 35th for 433,000. There's no indication the governor wouldn't sign this, so if they get this, I'll be able to do the upgrades that are needed to move out of Civic Center. I also attended an Olympic Highway North Town Hall with all you guys, and March 11th, I attended the Mason County OPS stakeholders meeting at Alderbrook as a Board of Health member, and I also that night enjoyed the empty bowls with all of you. March 11th, oh, I already did that one. March 13th turned into the council briefing with Miguel, Mark, Tom. I attended a Realtors County monthly lunch at the PUD. I attended a ribbon cutting for Power Music and Recordings, new location down on Coda. On Monday, March 16th, I attended the county briefing, the auditors changes in precincts due to some cities, due to the city's annexation and population growth out in the county, and the auditors said today even sent us maps, so we knew what those were. Didn't write my notes, but they also talked about, county also talked about a park district. I don't know how far that's gonna go. I mean, that could actually join the city in that if they were to do that. But that was the talk about Mason Lake, getting that online. Skate park also came up at the county meeting. I believe I mentioned that we did talk to staff, city manager on that. I attended the new code enforcement committee for the county as a representative from Board of Health. County's having the same issue that we're having with multiple things. They've got multiple parcels out there with 20 trailers on them, people living, dumping their stuff in the ground and everything else, and they're also struggling with how are we gonna finance these cleanups? How are we gonna clean up, or how do we abate? They need to put money in abatement fund, and so it's gonna be a long discussion. I think it's gonna be a monthly meeting. So yeah, we're all having the same issues. And the commission meeting today was the presentation from solid waste. The vouchers for 2026 will be available March 23rd. We are part of Mason County, so the vouchers will be available to citizens of Shelton for garbage. Timberland Library had a presentation today on their budget shortfall. Looks like they're laying off 61 employees, their whole organization. And they're talking about a levy lift, not tomorrow, but in the future. And then Susan with Youth Connect announced in Mosa, May 9th at Little Creek, 11 a.m., kind of a little fundraiser. And she might talk about that here today. Shelley, the best family education and educational support services, did a little presentation that we've been in town for 20 years now, and they're housing the YMCA permanently. They counsel parents and help people. The county is sorry. Not what I wrote there. I didn't write it right. The county is changing two parcels from general commercial to residential in the UGA. Parcel number is 32007-11-90110 and parcel 32007-11901112 that are on John Prairie Road. And that affects the city as well. And they also voted today to change the Pretty Canyon Bridge to Senator Tim Sheldon Bridge for all of his long district supporting Mason County projects. And that's a recommendation to the state. That's not what just happened. Also, some good news, I think. House Bill 2532 passed both houses, 95 to 0, 49 to 0. That's a nitrous oxide space gas that kids are buying in gas stations and we're finding it in their schools. I believe the bill says in 60 days it will no longer be in, if the governor signs it, the bill will no longer the product will no longer be in our gas stations. So that's excellent. Hopefully next session we can deal with Kratom. And that is my report.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as published?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as published. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The council invites the public to make public comment. Comments on matters of city business. Comments shall be made to the entire council and not individual council members. Please refrain from any personal or disrespectful remarks that create disruptions during the meeting. If unreasonably disruptive conduct continues, you will be asked to leave the meeting. When you get to the podium to comment, please state your name and if you are a resident of the city or the county. Giselle, do we have anyone signed up to make a general public comment?
Yes, we do. First, we have Mary Eagleson.
Well, as she stated, my name is Mary Wilson. Hello, council, Mayor Pro Tem and the rest of the council. I just have a statement to make tonight. At the apartment complex I live in, we have for over a year been enduring a mess that was some kind of construction for sewer or something behind our apartment. And every time we talk to our management, we were told that it was permits or something. And I said, doesn't take that long for a permit and to clean this mess up. And so I want to thank someone in here. Mark, thank you very much. I made a call to Mark. And the next day, the problem was taken care of and our apartments finally looked decent. We had these horsey things all over the yard. People couldn't walk back there. There was a hole. It was dangerous. And when you live in a senior community, you want a little bit of safety. And for that to go on for over a year was a little more than I could tolerate. I want to thank you for taking care of it, whether it was something the city should have taken or somebody else. But we appreciate, the people in that apartment complex appreciate the fact that you got it taken care of the next day. And I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Susan Kirchhoff.
Finally getting warm. Hi, I'm Susan Kirchhoff. We have no heat in our building right now, so it's really cold. Executive Director, founder of the Youth Connection. It's thank you for letting me speak to you, council members. It's incredible as I've been reflecting over the last 3 months and getting ready of how our space on Second Street has changed and what it was just a simple little thought in mind. And now we're preparing to transform the building into something, such a great space for our community. Because of your support, especially through the city's CHIP grant, we are able to move forward with the 12 transitional housing units for young people ages 18 to 24. We'll also be transforming the downstairs area to a youth center with a community space. The investment in that is to help to create a space where young people can come and not only have a safe space to be, but learn life skills training, education and employment. They'll have access to free showers, free laundry service, meal preparation. We'll have actually a commercial kitchen put down in the bottom that we're going to do classes with them. One of the biggest things is us building connections and trust with our young people, because without the trust, young people don't ask for help and they definitely don't share their story. It is at the core of it. This work is about prevention. When we invest in our young people early, we reduce the likelihood of long-term and chronic homelessness in our adulthood. Our approach follows the 5 priority outcomes outlined in Washington State's Office of Homeless Youth. And we mirror those every day in the priorities on how we do our service and the support our young people have every day. And I just ran a report and I was saying that we only had a 75% service to exit to housing. And I did a report right before I got here. We're at 83% of our young people we serve are going to permanent housing. That's phenomenal. In 2025, we served 175 enrolled individuals, and 115 of them exited to permanent supported housing. And I am on that number. 97 of them started out literally homeless. So that's a big, huge thing that we are working to do and change. That is why building connections are at the center of everything we do. And I just want to say TYC is planning a celebration event. I would like to personally invite each one of you, and if I had my little card already made, they're not made yet, I'll bring them next time. May 9th at 11 o'clock, we're having a mimosa celebration brunch at Little Creek. The intent, it is our fundraiser, but the intent is just to celebrate what we've done and where we're going, and hear firsthand from some of our young people exactly what we've done for them and how we've helped them become the adults that they are becoming. Your support has been instrumental in this, and thank you for your continued partnership.
Thank you.
And next we have Catherine Johnson.
Yeah.
Hello, I am Catherine Johnson, resident of Mason County. Nice to see you all, council members, and good evening, Mayor. It's my first time being here. Congratulations. For everybody who needs a reminder, I'm Catherine Johnson, the Executive Director of the Humane Society of Mason County. I just wanted to come and share a quick update. Over the past year, we've really continued to see how much this community really needs our support. When it comes to pets, whether or not that's access to veterinary care, a safe place for animals to go, or to help families during really difficult moments. A lot of the work we're doing today is focused on keeping pets with people who love them, helping families have access to care before a situation becomes a crisis, and stepping in where there truly isn't another option. We've just released our 2025 impact report, and it highlights a lot of this work that we are doing. It's available on our website, and I brought some copies here with me tonight to hand to all of you. One of the stories that I made sure that we shared in this is a story that happened just a couple blocks away from here. A house fire where some cats were in critical care and needed emergency medical care immediately. And we were really so thankful that we were able to step in and make sure that they got the access to care they needed. And we kept those cats and treated those cats back to health, and were able to make sure that their family got the support that they needed from the human crisis intervention for that terrible house fire. This work is incredibly personal to us. Every animal we help represents a family, a situation, and a moment where someone needed support, and that really drives everything that we do. And Shelton is a big part of that work, and we continue to see a strong need for accessible animal services here. We're committed to being a resource for this community and continuing to grow that support. Looking ahead, we're focused on expanding access to care and strengthening partnerships so that when animals and the people who love them need help, there's somewhere to turn. I also want to make sure to personally invite all of you to our annual event, Tales. It's on May 30th at Little Creek Casino, and it's a really fun celebration for all of us to come together and celebrate the work that we are doing. So thank you again for your time and everything that you all are committed to doing for this community.
That is all we have.
All right.
So for a business, Mark will provide information on the council protocol manual.
First, we're gonna do presentations with the January monthly financial report. if you
You're
don't mind.
right, I skipped that.
Yeah.
Thank you. We have Director Terry Switzer to
Or
present
Terry's gonna do.
January,
the-
sorry, thank you.
Oh, no.
Keeping me on track here. I'm done.
So we've got,
I'll just update you on, our investments, that we currently hold, are, currently in our local government investment pool account, we're holding, let me put my glasses on, 23.8 million, in there, and, in our US bank, we have 3.2. We just recently had, a $750,000, matured, a bond mature, and, I reinvested that back into LGIP. And we had a little excess in checking, so I invested 1 million. So our current interest rate is at 3.73% right now. So, and with the markets and how they're running, it could fluctuate, but within the last week, it's gone up 0.02%, but it's going up for the moment. So thank you, Mayor and Deputy Mayor and Council, tonight bringing the January 2026 monthly financial report. This is 1 month of data bringing to you, so it's kind of difficult to kind of show where exactly, we are going to be in the future, because we only have that 1 month of data. But we started the year with a budget for revenues of 15.8 million. And then 16.9 million for expenditures, using the 1.1 million of ending fund balance. So, so with that, that's 43.6%. The ending fund balance is 43.6% of the expenditures budgeted. And so we reserved the 20% of budgeted expenditures at 3.4 million. And then that leaves the unreserved balance of 4 million, for a total of 7.4 million in total fund balance. Now for January, it shows that we have we used more expenditures than we did with the revenues, and that is basically because of our WCIA payment. Our Washington City's Insurance Authority payment, that's the insurance that we pay for all of our assets and liabilities. So, and that is a once a year payment that we make, and that's in January. So that will inflate the expenditures quite a bit for general fund. So then if we go to the middle of the page, we're using with 44.4% of budgeted expenditures, 7.5 million, and then at the bottom, the reserve line, the orange line that you see.
Sorry.
So the reserve is what is on the bottom of that line, and then what's on top is the unreserved. So we're showing, that 4 million. 26. And then on page 2, there's the general fund overview for revenues. Again, we're kind of being conservative on what these numbers are, just because it is the 1 month data information that we've collected, and so we're kind of holding true to what we originally budgeted at. And then we just have the biggest general fund revenue at the bottom for the pie chart. We show that the selling use taxes are 23% of that, and charges for goods and services at 21%. And then property taxes is at 18%. Those are our top. And then our on page 3 for general fund overview of expenditures. These are just, again, it's the 1 month snapshot. And just. So we're a little bit, showing a little bit of a favorable variance at the moment, but again, that could change. But in time. Jump to the month to month on page 5. So in the revenues for the month to month, it just shows, how we're doing in January compared to what we did in 2024 and 2025. There are some lines that, for the example, the sales and use tax, it's a little lower than what we did in 2025 and what we did in 24. But in business and occupation tax, again, these are the top revenues that we have. We're down a little bit from January 2025. And that could be because people, the annual report filers for our B&O tax for our businesses, they now know that they can wait until April 15th. So it could be a lag due to that. Okay. And then there's the 2026 to 2025 variance. It's just showing an unfavorable variance of 189,000 from 2025.
On the property taxes, the county had the reason for that also is because the statements went out 3 weeks earlier last year. So people paid them a little sooner. So they were talking about why there was a big difference from 2024 to 25.
Well, it makes a difference in timing for sure. And then page 6. This is the sales tax breakdown by type, and on the bottom pie chart, this is from the DOR, the Department of Revenue, information that we received. 53.5% is for retail, 16.1% for professional services that we've collected, and then 12.2% for food and entertainment. Those are the top 3. And then on page 7, our fund balances. I'll just point out to where in the change column, it just shows that there's money being spent out of those funds. A lot of them are transfers from, the special revenue funds to projects to pay for those, because we are, once we know they're budgeted in the first year, then we transfer those funds to the funds that it's going to, so that shows that it's an expense. So.
And Terry, if you don't
Yep.
mind,
Yep.
that doesn't necessarily mean it's expended, it's just been transferred to
just-
maybe the operating budget from
Right.
the fund balance or the capital budget, just for clarification. So,
And then we'll go to FTEs. And so in the general fund, we have 4 openings. At the time of January, we still have the finance director position open, the community development director open, and 2 police officers. And then in the other funds, we had 4 openings, and with a total of 8 FTE openings. So, and that can contribute to why those expenditures were a little better. So, because we weren't paying those salaries. And then just the citywide overview of revenues and expenditures. This is just a snapshot for each fund, showing all the revenues and expenditures, just at a rolled up version. And so with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
When do we anticipate having another 5-year forecast out so we can look at the new figures with the Indian fund balance, so we can decide? Because there's positions we want to fill that we didn't budget for. And so that 5-year forecast would help me say, hey, I think we can afford this position.
5-year forecast is It's fairly difficult right now. I mean, we can throw some numbers at it. If you're gonna, if we can understand what the market's gonna do and what housing is gonna do. We can certainly project that. It's much easier to project over the next year or two with the existing fund balance we have. To answer part of your question is, on the looking ahead calendar, we have another supplemental, which we don't like to do, and our finance department doesn't necessarily appreciate that. But we have talked to council, I've talked to council about addressing a couple of positions that were supported in the 2026 budget that weren't funded, and bringing those back to you as part of our fund balance expenditure. Still want to be cautious of that because those are ongoing expenses, and although our fund balance is favorable and very comfortable at this point, I want to be careful not to erode that over time. So we're looking at those FTEs probably mid-year of this year, right? Taking action sometime in April, by the time you do recruitment, so it's half year commitment, but we want to make sure when we make those commitments, we're able to sustain those too, right? Doesn't fully support the departments that those are intended to support if it's a short-term investment, because we all, I think, I've had interest from council and understanding from council, those are needed positions, and we're talking about assistance in HR and risk and in public works as well, particularly on the admin side. So want to be cautious. We have the opportunity to address some of our local road paving as well, potentially as one-time costs, which I'm much more comfortable with. But we understand that there are great needs. We've got staff that need that support. We've got some risk management we need to take care of as well, that could lead to greater expenses for the city if we don't take care of that with some staffing requests. So we'll work on it, come back around to the projection. We'll work on that projection the best we can. We're really, watching existing numbers, trying to watch that market as we see housing starts here. Much more comfortable starting to project that as well. Once they start going vertical, the infrastructure is in place. We can project that a little better. Once there's a little bit of security, with those housing.
Yeah, if you don't
starts.
think we need one, I was just thinking back to 5 years ago where we saw it, what was happening. And we made changes, and that's probably why we're here today. And we're in a decent situation today, so I wanted to make sure that 5 more years that we hire an HR assistant, that position's not gonna be laid off.
My
That
goal,
was
my
my
goal,
plan.
my goal is to sustain those positions, and this is a conservative budget, Terry mentioned.
Conservative, and I also want to mention, due to world events right now, our costs could go up, even though this is January information. Here we are in March. And, we see the fuel costs rising, which, our police fleet, use a lot of that fuel, so we could see a lot of that, increase in the next few months too. So I just want to caution that.
I do have a question. With the new millionaires tax, I heard that there would be no tax on diapers, hygiene products, things like that. Have you been able to anticipate how that might impact the city's retail sales revenue?
I know AWC put out some information through that process. They were estimating. Oh, I need to think of the number. I think it was.
There's
There's
tax
120 million out of line.
Oh,
120 million across the state for all cities in sales tax revenue. I don't think we've seen anything from WFOA or the auditor's office that would indicate, we don't know what percentage of our sales tax is derived from hygiene products or diapers.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if the legislation maintained the sales tax holiday.
Yeah, I think it did, yeah.
Was it maintained in there as well? In the last legislation, so. Depending on the time of year and what that means, we know that we don't have a lot of retail establishments where people spend those big discretionary dollars, where you're gonna go buy the RV or the car and save on sales tax. But it could be just a lot of smaller items that are purchased over that time period that we don't realize that sales tax benefit, so.
That's 2029.
That's just an important effect.
Oh, okay.
I think it's
Yeah,
start
good
collecting,
point.
it's start collecting in 2028, 2029,
20. Correct.
Thank you.
couple years to fight. it.
We'll continue to monitor, and we're hoping that we get more information with our partners, the AWC, maybe WFOA and some other organizations that could help kind of calculate that, but again, you can't extrapolate that from the existing revenue information that we do have.
And on that tax, they were going to give cities like 10% for public defenders. Well, they pulled that out of the bill, so we don't even get that.
As well. Okay. All right, so should we go to where I skipped to earlier? All right, so we are on to our business agenda now, I believe, and Mark will provide information on the council protocol manual.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council. Following up from our study session in February, we had some suggested edits to the council's protocol manual. There's 3 pages I'd like to highlight here. Page 20 regarding proclamations. Let me bring that up. It'll be a little. Gonna make some people disappear, I think. And trying to refine the proclamation protocol, we had a number of suggestions and edits, but what has been added to page too far, what has been added to our text in the procedures, we still have the application process in place. Those applications would then come to the council during a study session for approval to move to a business meeting at a later date. Again, this is in the business agenda tonight. It would go to action on April 7th. We have 2 proclamations that have been in, the requests have been into the city already for the April 7th, so we're following that existing protocol that's in the manual. We recently received another one for April 7th for Earth Day as well, that did not meet our statutory requirement of a 35-day.
Yeah.
4 weeks. So that one's still kind of hanging out there right now. We're certainly we can certainly bring that forward on the 7th if the council so chooses, or we can consider that in an upcoming study session. It would be cleaner to adopt the protocol manual tonight with these edits, and then we can move forward. But if there's some further consideration you want to push to action on the 7th, sure we do that. Any questions about proclamations? All right. I'm going to move to page 28. Look at the screen until I stop. And this language is editing the language for placing items on the agenda. We've talked about this a couple times, and how agenda items should be requested by council members to be placed on the agenda. We currently have an agenda planning committee that's made up of the leadership team, manager, and clerk. These are typically based on our work plan, right? We develop a work plan, we give it to the council early in the year, and we proceed with bringing agenda items to the council. It's where maybe a council member or a couple council members want something to be considered on the agenda, and then how that process would take place. How the majority of the council would have a say within discussing those agenda items. So in 805B, consideration for discussion on a future agenda. Again, making the oral request at a council meeting, or submitting the request in writing to the clerk or the city manager. And then those requests would be presented to the agenda planning committee to schedule that for full council consideration. After a majority of the council approves them, to move forward at that point. So one thing we heard about was consideration, particularly we're spending a lot of city resources and expenditure. We want to make sure we're doing that efficiently, and we have a majority of the council that's considering that before it comes to the full council, just for efficiency's sake. So again, these are draft edit proposed to the council tonight for your consideration. And if there's no questions or comments there, I'll move to page 35. 8.10. The, one of the benefits, I believe, that we received through our strategic planning retreat a few weeks ago was talking about council meeting decorum and order. It's something we didn't have in our protocol manual before, and I think all the council unanimously agreed that there should be some guiding principles within the protocol manual about decorum and order. It's really not real extensive, but specific. I'll just scroll down and see if there's more past C. But again, some simple measures to maintain that decorum, having courtesy, make sure that council members aren't interrupted. They have an opportunity to state their opinion, and everybody has that ability throughout the meeting, as well as referencing our personnel policy manuals, which discuss a number of items, including, harassment, and workplace issues that would be typically covered under our personnel policy now, that also cover the council at the same time. So again, it's a good reference to those personnel policy manuals. That is the breadth of the edits I'm proposing tonight.
Makes sense to me.
All right. Can I get a reading of resolution number 1429-0226?
Resolution number 1429-0226, a resolution of the Council of the City of Shelton, Washington, updating the City Council Protocol Manual.
All right, do we have a motion?
Mayor Sherman, I move to approve the council protocol manual updates. Resolution number 1429-0226. Second.
So we're approving it now, is what I'm hearing. We're not moving it to the next.
The motion was to move it to the.
Right.
Move it to the next meeting on
On the
April-
April 7th.
April 7th.
Okay, thank you. I was a little,
Yep.
okay.
Question,
Please.
for the city manager, were you hoping we would just adopt this tonight so that we would be?
That was an option you could be done with, and we can move forward with the particularly with the protocol for proclamations.
I move to waive the three-touch rule and adopt this today.
I think yes, because we have to remove this, we have to withdraw. I think, Miguel, you gotta withdraw your motion.
I withdraw my motion and let Councilmember Gilmore draw his.
Okay,
Now you make your motion.
Oh. Okay, I move to waive the three-touch rule and adopt the protocol manual edits today.
Second.
all right, we have waived three-touch rule, and we are now putting resolution number 1429-0226 as approved. Correct? I did that right? Okay.
Yes.
And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, cool. We are now recessing from our regular meeting to open a public hearing. All right. Interim Community and Economic Development Director Jason Dose will present information on the 2025 comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. So it's been quite a long haul. We're working on bringing up a PowerPoint presentation I have prepared for this.
Bill and IT is slowing it up. And that's all.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get good help these days. We've been working a couple of years, as you know, on the mandated comprehensive plan update. It was due to be adopted by end of 2025. And of course, here we are into March 2026. I apologize for that. We've had a few staff changeovers that kind of caused a little bit of a hiccup there as we were heading towards the finish line. We wheeled back a little bit, made some edits to the document, and have been moving forward on that. Since we are a fully planning community, and I apologize, we'll get the PowerPoint here.
Oh, okay. Thank you, appreciate that. Yes.
We are fully planning under the Growth Management Act, which requires that the city periodically and review our comprehensive plan, which our first one was adopted in 1995. And historically, all communities and counties that are operating under the Growth Management Act have to update those plans every 8 years. The state recently changed that to 10 years. So we're now, from this date forward, 2025, on a 10-year cycle for updating plans with a 5-year, I forget what they call it, like check-in date to kind of see how you're doing. And I can't really forecast what that will look like in 5 years, because we haven't gone through it before, and the state hasn't come up with guidance on what we're going to be responsible to do. But basically, I think it's just going to be like it sounds, kind of a litmus test. Are we moving towards doing the sorts of things that are identified in our plan? And in a nutshell, as you guys have seen over the past several years and months, you know, we had several council study sessions with pieces of the plan over the last couple of years. We had about 1.5 years of meeting with a council appointed comprehensive plan committee that helped to shape some of the plan elements. And pretty pictures are coming up. That'll help what's, you know, obviously kind of a dry subject matter, an important but dry subject matter.
So, inside.
Fair enough. I'm already on.
Or it's just me, I don't.
I'm on page 3 already when we get there. Great. We issued an environmental impact statement on the plan in October, received very little comment on that, just what I would consider more cleanup comments, you know, grammatical even from a couple of agencies where we missed some periods and no exclamation points, not many exclamation points in the conference. We came to the council in November and kind of presented the last package, as it were, of draft documents before we put it together into the full document that you have on the website now and what was submitted to Commerce for the required 60-day review. We ended up getting that to them in mid-January, which means the Commerce review period will be up next week after this public hearing. And we're already receiving a few comments from state agencies. None of them give me room for pause as of yet. I mean, they're things we have to make some minor edits, but nothing substantive that I anticipate changing in the plan until provided, you know, we make no changes tonight or we don't hear anything different from the public. As I scan forward to, I just liked that photo. I had to keep that one. We do have to complete an update every 10 years. We have to address, among other things, changes in state law, our new population numbers, which I'll get to, new housing and requirements that can come through legislation or through community desires. You want to keep the plan, because we're mandated update every 10 years, they can get kind of stale. You might look at it, if you don't open it up in the interim, sometimes you can look back on some of those policies going, you know, why do we want to do that? You know, that was so 10 years ago. So you really do want to kind of keep it as a living plan, update it regularly. So that comes to our growth forecasts, which I will openly admit, to my knowledge, the city has never come very close to meeting our state required growth forecast. So essentially what happens is we work with the county, the Office of Financial Management comes up with population numbers, and they say each county as a whole is required to accommodate X amount of growth. So we worked in Mason County, and the city was ultimately allocated 41% of the countywide growth. And that accounts to approximately 7,400 additional residents within the planning horizon, which is 20 years or 2045. I kind of broke out the math a little bit. So on average, that would equate to about 370 new residents per year. Mind you, the last census put our average household size at 2.9 residents. So what, that's roughly 120 some odd single family homes, or 120 some odd, 130 some odd, check my math there. New units per year. Next slide. So I already went through some of the new state mandates. I put a few in here that you may or may not be more interested in. House Bill 1220 requires us to plan for all income levels. Now, previous to this comp plan update, you had to acknowledge you needed differing income level housing, but they didn't really force you to kind of get down to the nuts and bolts and look at how are you actually going to provide that. So in this plan, and I'm kind of showing my cards, so to speak, in the presentation, which means we'll be able to go through some other slides a little quicker. We're proposing to resurrect a multifamily zone for one. We're looking to establish what are called residential target areas. That's areas where provided developers do affordable housing, and the HUD development, the HUD definition of affordable housing, not, all developers that I talk to do affordable housing. I mean, when it comes right down to it, that's what they say they do. But when we say affordable housing, as it pertains to the plan, it's people that are 50 to 80% of the median income in the local area, which we have very little housing to that effect. So they want us to actually plan and figure out how can we accommodate that. And that can include different things like tax incentives, development bonuses in a sense, like reduced lot size or reduced setbacks or discounts on impact fees, that sort of thing, to try to encourage what are typically nonprofits to develop. I already talked about the extended review cycle. The other one I'd like to point out is House Bill 1337. This one's a big one to me, because historically the city had, before 2023, we had fairly restrictive allowances for accessory dwelling units, and we lessened those significantly in 23 with some changes to our neighborhood residential zone. The state has, they kind of trumped us on this one. And now what they're requiring all cities to do, because apparently some cities didn't, kind of get the message that we want to create more housing. We are going to have to allow for 2 ADUs, 2 accessory dwelling units on every residential lot. In any zone that allows for single family residences, you have to allow for an additional 2 ADUs as well.
Not around size?
Yeah, you still got to comply with zoning and development standards, and that'll come later. The plan just sets the stage for these things to happen. You can think of the plan as like the Constitution, right? And then we do our zoning ordinances, and all the zoning ordinances have to comply, just like laws have to comply with the Constitution. So that this is laying the big picture. And then House Bill 1181 requires we plan for climate change, because not many communities were doing that. And if you go to the next slide. I've already gone through some of our priorities. Some of the priorities for us were to try to focus development where existing infrastructure is, because some of the biggest hurdles to development is putting in water, sewer, storm drainage, power, streets. So if we can find ways to incentivize what's considered infill, building existing built areas and intensify use in those areas, that's what we're looking to do through the residential target areas and multifamily housing, and removing some barriers to doing mixed use development, residential above commercial in essence. Now, how do you do that while maintaining your community character? That's the $1 million question. I mean, that'll all come through future updates. I mean, that's a priority of this. On one hand, while we're saying we're going to be growing by X number of people, how do you do that and maintain the quality of life? I mean, that's the trick, and that's what will be coming forward in the coming months, hopefully months, not years, but depending on workload. It could take some time to do all the updates. The plan also looks to update infrastructure planning, capital facilities, utilities, transportation, that sort of thing. And our public works department was excellent in doing that. They've recently completed the sewer plan update, our water comprehensive plan update. They were integral in doing the transportation element of this plan. And so all those are updated to current information, current standard, You know, so as we grow, the intent is that we grow our facilities along with that. We grow our roadways, we grow our pedestrian networks, we grow our, you know, all the above. Next slide. The only reason I put this table here, I thought about taking it out. It's kind of a waste of space. The table of contents. So there aren't many changes as far as chapters go. The main thing is we integrated what was the urban growth area plan that was previously in chapter 10. We've rolled that into the land use element because it was kind of clunky being in a separate chapter, you know, because you would have UGA policies in the land use element and then UGA policies in the UGA plan. And it really made no sense. So we put those two together and then we added the new climate, the required climate element as the new chapter 10. As far as land use goes, I've kind of already touched on all these. Let's just go to the next slide, which I think is the land use map. I don't know if you can really read this map very well. It shows up better, of course, if you can zoom in online. To cut to the chase on this, there's not a huge change in anything here. Most of the zoning stays the same. What we're proposing in certain locations are what we call a regional retail area. And that's focused up around, for lack of a better term, the Walmart and Fred Meyer shopping area up at the 101 interchange. And then the other one in just outside city limits, kind of where Mel Chevrolet used to be. What's it called now? Titusville. That area identified as, you know, kind of the area that's more appropriate and more able to accept what you, for lack of a better term, big box development, right? So we want to craft some regulation that would help, you know, kind of put guardrails on that kind of development. And that would help free us up to be able to use what is right now a catch-all commercial, general commercial zone that goes everywhere from downtown by First Street, up Olympic Highway North, and then also includes the Walmart shopping center and all that. So it's the same zoning, but very different types of uses. You generally have the smaller, you know, local shops, some chain stores, but generally smaller lot sizes. And we just feel there's a way we can kind of make things more flexible on those smaller lots while still getting, you know, the very vehicle oriented development you get up in the Walmart. I don't mean to be, I'm not flag waving for Walmart, but for lack of a better term, the Walmart shopping center area. We have advocated for, as a way to help fill the housing needs our community has, not just our community, you know, nationwide, county, but our allocation is, you can expect us to come forward with more density allowances in all our residential zones. I mean, not necessarily neighborhood residential per se, the concept that's talked about in the plan, neighborhood residential would allow for some more flexibility, especially with ADUs. I mean, that would be added on because we're required to add that. But we also want to find a way, if appropriate, to allow for things like fourplexes in the neighborhood residential zone, currently not allowed. And that, if you read some of the finer detail of the plan and some of the supporting documentation, the biggest need in our community, I mean, it's residential units all around, but we're wholesale lacking in what is commonly referred to as middle housing. So, you know, like your apartments, your small apartments, your duplexes, your triplexes, your fourplexes, that sort of thing. And we're trying to find a way to make that a little more doable in town because we don't see too many of those built. We've seen more in recent years, the last few years, but overall, if I had to guess, in my 20 years here, we've probably seen less than 20 duplexes and triplexes built, you know, and that's really not that many. So we're going to see if we can try to incentivize that. One thing to point out too is a future neighborhood, what I'm calling a neighborhood commercial area. Now, this would be in what's commonly referred to as the, you know, kind of the Peacock Ridge area where Olympic Heights is building up above the college. The common property owner up there asked for a rezone to allow for a school site and a future school site after talking with the school district, a multifamily area adjacent to the school site, and then a commercial zoning adjacent to all of that to kind of create kind of a mixed use hub that is very common in by today's standards. When you have larger residential developments, you come up and you do some kind of neighborhood serving commercial near the larger neighborhoods, and that is gearing up to be a larger neighborhood in the next 20 or so years. Next slide. The residential target areas. This is a scheme, for lack of a better term, that the state allows where we can incentivize additional multifamily development in areas that are already developed. That's the common theme. You have to already have utilities and infrastructure. It's not for raw land development. Like, I think I spoke about this in November when we came to you. We had pared down this residential target area significantly because it included a lot of vacant land. And I mean, that's just, it's not an option. The intent is to densify your existing built areas, build more economically, not just from the builder's standpoint, but from a city standpoint, frankly. It's cheaper to maintain things in a more dense area. It's cheaper for the resident if they have common uses that complement each other. Residential above commercial may not be for everyone, but there are people that really enjoy that. They don't have to drive as much. They can walk down, pick up their groceries. They can walk to the coffee shop, go back to their house, you know, what have you. We want to be able to allow for that. Currently, it's difficult to do that in many zones. So that's part of the incentive. You can also adopt tax exemptions. These would just be local, so city tax exemptions. I don't expect that to be too much of a draw because the city portion of your tax bill actually is not that large. If you look at the tax bill as it's spelled out, it's something, certainly, but it's not as large as you would think. But these are all things that follow-on code amendments would propose. They don't become real and effective on the ground to my department and the developer until they're adopted into code. This just sets the stage as a concept. I want to make that clear. We're not physically adopting these things right now. Next slide. Parks and Recreation, I just put this in here as more of a placeholder. That's also in the plan. We didn't propose any big updates other than like acreages of maybe some parkland that have been acquired since the last plan update. But I would note that the PROST plan, the Parks, Recreation and Open Space plan, that this is based on the information in it is being updated currently, as Miguel said at the opening of the meeting, and Jordan had spoken about. This will certainly have to be updated following that. You know, so we'll incorporate that by reference, update any information as required after that plan is adopted. As far as transportation goes, as I said, Public Works was very integral. I mean, honestly, I don't think we could have completed this without our engineering department's help. In just broadly, what the transportation element does is it looks at your development numbers, the development numbers I talked about earlier. You know, the city is going to grow by X number of residents. If all the stars align, how do you keep your transportation network operating appropriately? So it looks at intersections, level of service, and we spent a lot of time working with I know I'm going to destroy the name, but I think it's the Thurston Regional Planning Council. Is that what it was? To come up with a regional. Now we haven't done this before. This is part of the reason it took a little bit longer to complete this element. It's a regional transportation model we developed, our Public Works Department did. So basically, it's not only plugged into Shelton and the surrounding county immediate areas, but it ties into what's happening in Thurston County, what might travel through 101, what might stop, you know, to get groceries here, come through SR3. I mean, it's really a comprehensive model that took a lot of time. It did cost a bit of money as well, but I think it's going to help support us as we grow. As long as we keep that model updated as we grow, I think that's going to be a very valuable tool because knowledge is power in a sense. So as we grow, we rely a lot on WashDOT state money, as it were, for a lot of our large infrastructure improvements. This model, I'm fairly certain, will help us in the future to help show that we've done the planning. We need help with, like, let's say the Wallace Neyland interchange. We need help with Railroad and 7th as we grow. You know, that intersection is forecast to get a little more busy as we grow. That sort of thing. So the transportation element fully updated. The one thing I would say is we are in the process of developing a multimodal transportation plan. That's the one thing that's lacking that the state also requires in your transportation element. You have to adopt a pedestrian level of service. And you know, as everybody knows, we have large gaps in our multimodal transportation network. But I read the contract documents for this. The intent of this plan is to kind of prioritize improvements, start to tie neighborhoods together. You know, look at holistically, how do we move people around other than by automobile? In essence, I guess that's it. quick way of putting it. So that's in process. That is one of the comments from the state that I received, you didn't identify a multimodal level of service. So that's kind of my response. We're in process. It'll come soon after the plan is adopted. Chapter 5 is our housing element. It goes hand in hand with the land use element. I kind of discussed this. Essentially, it just discusses a lot of the zoning changes we're hoping to make moving forward. Increasing density in some zones, allowing for duplex, triplex, fourplexes in more places, removing a few permit, I'll call them barriers, even though it's my department that does them. A few permits that are currently required to do residential over commercial. For example, in our commercial zones, a couple of them, you have to do a conditional use permit and site plan review to do it. What we're likely to propose is that we eliminate the conditional use permit requirement. SEPA would still apply. You still have the public process through site plan review. It just, no public hearing is required. I'm giving you more information than you need, but the plan basically sets the stage for us to do that and encourages us to do that in the hopes of getting more multifamily housing. Next. Capital facilities, I've already spoken about this, I kind of lump capital facilities in together. Transportation, water, sewer, storm drainage, power, you name it. We're very updated on all of our infrastructure plans. You guys know it better than I do because Public Works Department has been bringing those plans to you. The stormwater plan is in process, our first comprehensive stormwater plan. That will be incorporated into this once it's adopted, things like that. But it is good to see that our engineering department is being very proactive. It certainly makes the comprehensive plan updates a lot easier when all of our infrastructure planning is up to date. Shoreline. All I'll say about this one is the chapter directly mimics our adopted shoreline master program. That's it. It's as simple as that. We haven't changed the shoreline master program since I think 23. We did a 22 or 23. We did a minor change, but other than that, there's nothing new in the shoreline management chapter. 8 is historic preservation. Again, this one I brought through the historic board. We changed a few numbers, but all the goals and policies remain the same, just encouraging, preserving Shelton's history, the structures, and just, as we grow, don't lose the history, in essence, is what this encourages. Economic development, this was changed a bit, but essentially it's just looking at different economic development strategies. Essentially, economic zoning, you name it, looking for ways to encourage more commercial investment in town, which we need, frankly. And chapter 10, climate resiliency. If you read through this chapter, it took a lot of effort because we were doing it for the first time. There's all these tables and information. The state, I see a council member Gutierrez nodding. It was just so much information we had to go through, and it was required by the state, and they gave us a good amount of money to do it. But when you read the product, it's very basic at this point. It just identifies, maybe areas where we're vulnerable. It identifies areas that we have some strengths. It identifies things we need more information on, and it just tries to prioritize things like, flood, wildfire, climate change in general. Could that impact our availability of well water? It's things like that are discussed in the chapter. And I like I've said before, I don't see much coming out of that chapter now, but the way the state works is I think in the future, you're going to see that we're going to have to build on this chapter and start doing more proactive climate planning. Frankly, that's my guess. We're just setting the stage now for that. And I think we've done a good job just setting kind of a baseline. Okay, last slide. Sorry, I took a little longer than I wanted to. I tend to do that. So we're in the input gathering phase right now. We've done the heavy lifting, so to speak, and it's out for review by peer agencies, by state agencies. And we're having the public hearing here to receive input from the council or the public might have. we've issued the EIS and I'm hoping to issue the final EIS as early as tomorrow if time permits. Because that needs to be done prior to the final plan adoption. And what I'm hoping, should the council agree, is that, you know, we hold the public hearing and we do the first reading of the adopting ordinance, and I'll say tentatively plan to put it on the April 21st regular meeting for adoption. Now, this makes a lot of assumptions. You know, I'm assuming we're not gonna get substantive comments from the state. Not that they're not important comments, but like substantive that require massive technological changes in the plan. You know, we gotta go back and reassess our assumptions. I don't expect any of that. It might be just, hey, you missed, you know, House Bill 1138's allowance for solar panels or something. I mean, these are the types of comments you might get. So we might have to make minor changes. What I would plan on doing is bringing that to you on the 21st and identifying, you know, you'll have to listen to me talk again, you know, what those changes are from what we're looking at tonight. And then, as I've talked about before, we would be coming, provided it gets adopted, we'd be coming to you late spring, summer, into the fall, making code changes. And the way I would forecast, you know, the code changes to implement this comprehensive plan. The way I would expect that to happen is we'll work to come up with kind of a list, which our consultant, our hired consultant, you know, will help do kind of a generalized list of what we need to do to comply with all these House bills. And then we'll bring it to the council at some study sessions and see what we should prioritize and bring to you first, because there'll be a lot of them. And depending on where we start and where we end, it could be as much as, I mean, I'm guessing 6-8 months from start to finish to do all of that. So that is it. I look forward to any questions, comments, input you have. And
I just wanted to thank you, Jason, and the SCJ Alliance for putting this all together, for taking all the input that Councilmember Onisco and I put in, Deidre Peterson, former council member, the realtors that we had there, the youth that we had there, talking about all the things that could possibly go wrong in the next 10 years that we were thinking about, like flooding and wildfires and our need for a water tower. And we might be cut off because we are like all these bridges all around downtown that might go down. So it was just a lot of things to think about, and that we had to go through every single one underneath every single subpoint. And it was so comprehensive, but it was also very thoughtful and very needed. And I think we're set up pretty well for the next 10 years with all the hard work that you've done, the staff has done, and all the members of that group that got it together, comprehensive plan team. So thanks again for putting this all together. And I'm looking forward to moving this forward.
Has anyone signed up for public testimony?
Oh, yeah.
We'll get there.
Oh,
Yes.
I was just following his lead.
Yeah, he jumped in before I got there. Has anyone signed up for public testimony? Oh, all right. Can I get a reading of ordinance number 2038-1025? Ordinance number 2038-1025, an ordinance of the city of Shelton, Washington relating to land use, amending and updating of the city of Shelton comprehensive plan, including adoption of a new climate change and resiliency element. Right. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I move to approve. Don't we have a? We move it to the next public hearing, or do we?
Yes, you'll move it to the
We'll
April 21st.
April 21st, April business meeting,
Excuse me, action agenda.
action agenda. I move to put ordinance number 2038-1025 to the action agenda on April 21st.
Okay. So yes, this is a great time for council members to ask questions or make comments.
Well, I just want to thank Jason as well, as we jumped into this almost at the end, because we, lost a staff member, and it was a long 2 years, and I appreciate you jumping in, and all of our staff for jumping in when they need to, taking over things. That happens a lot. You got a great crew, and Jason, you're one of them. Thank you.
I'm with the government. I'm here to serve.
All right, anyone else? Okay, we have a motion and a second to move ordinance number to a future council meeting on. Action agenda following the closure of the Department of Commerce public comment period. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Public hearing is closed. We're resuming our regular meeting. We're back, guys. All right, back to our action agenda. Budget coordinator and grant administrator Hannah Mergelot will provide information regarding the 2026 budget supplemental.
Jason wanted to stay up for this.
Stay up, it's just big table.
Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members. This is the same supplemental budget that I presented to you on March 3rd. We've had only one change. Initially, we requested $24,000 in additional funding for the capital improvement fund, and we have since updated that request to $24,500 to ensure sufficient budget for the expenses outlined in resolution 1427-0126 for the railroad crossing removal project. Just as a reminder, the supplemental primarily serves to add budget that was not available at the time of the 2026 budget adoption, including $80,500 to the tourism fund for the accepted lodging tax advisory committee recommendations, and $24,500 to the capital fund for the railroad. All right. Has anyone signed up for public comment? No, they haven't. All right. Can we get a reading of ordinance number 2039-0226, please?
Ordinance number 2039-0226, an ordinance of the city of Shelton, Washington, amending the annual budget for the year ending December 31st, 2026.
Right, so we have a motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 2039-0226 as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Well, we are finally to the administration report. So city manager, what do you have for us?
I'm gonna ask Chief Costed to come to the podium real quick, or Steve, I guess. Thank you. Discuss an incident last night that happened in the city.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, City Council members. As you may have known last night, there was a shooting incident within the city of Shelton. It occurred at approximately 10:30 p.m. last night. The call came out as multiple shots fired in the area 300 block of Wyandotte. City units responded along with Mason County Sheriff's Department, which is common on a call like this. When they got up in the area, they obviously spoke to witnesses, victims, identified potential evidence. There was obviously evidence on the ground and through statements that indicated that there was in fact a shooting that occurred. They were also able to review some video that was taken in the area, and due to all those statements made and the video, we were able to develop a vehicle description and possible plate description. After that, units went out in the area, checked the area, and we were lucky enough to find the vehicle somewhat close to the shooting scene that was fit the description of our suspect vehicle. They were then able to make contact and detain alleged suspect in this incident and gain other evidence within this incident. And he was subsequently booked to Mason County Jail last night. This is still an ongoing investigation. There are other people involved. There may be other victims, other suspects. We know there's other vehicles involved in this too. We're still trying to determine what exactly happened. From the indication that we're looking at right now, it's potentially gang related. No individuals were hurt in this incident. Vehicles were shot. Some houses sustained some damage due to bullets. That was it. And I'm happy to try and answer any more questions you have, but we're still in its infancy. We're still investigating this one. Let me tell you what I can share.
I appreciate your openness on this. Yeah, appreciate that. Great. Thank you. Thank you.
I would just want to give a little bit of an update, recognize the work going on Railroad Avenue and add some apologies, but it's construction as we see it. The contractor's really moving faster than we anticipated. We anticipated some of this movement to happen at First Street and kind of progress down to 7th They just really got on it, which is good. Means it's gonna get done quicker, but it just means the breadth of disruption across Railroad Avenue is happening kind of all at once. So I've been down there a number of times. We've had a number of calls and inquiries from the public and our business community, our project managers out there constantly trying to work out the things that you work out, right, with them, with something like this that happens in your downtown core. So just want to let council know, let the public know, we're on top of it. We want to hear back if there's an issue that needs to be addressed. We're happy to address that issue. We want to make sure our business community and retail establishments on Railroad Avenue are accessible as much as possible. So want to make that comment. There are trees being replanted too. And then May 2nd, our Community Economic Development Department is scheduling a community cleanup again, but scheduled for May 2nd, Calumet Park. There's flyers and cards out there. Our enforcement officer is reaching out to individuals that may benefit from that. We'll certainly have more public information on that as well, but it's a specific location. Individuals bring trash and garbage from their residents that has some limitations, right, with hazardous materials, appliances, and tires that we don't accept, but want to get rid of that stuff piling up in the corner, might not have enough big enough garbage, but bin or pickup, certainly an opportunity to advertise for our spring cleanup again. That was my update.
Thank you. Do we have any other new items to discuss?
Well, I have thanks and gratitude from the Shelton Rotary Club of Shelton for the city for doing the parking lot potholes up at Huff and Puff Park. And it made it a lot better and not nicer for the weed crew that went up there and pulled some broom. So the Shelton Rotary Club extends their gratitude for not just, sponsoring the park and having the partnership with the city, but for taking care of the parking lot and making it more accessible. So, thank you. And the Rotary Club of Shelton also wants you to buy some roses. It's coming up, so that's coming up. Anyway. Thank you, Mr. City Manager, for taking care of the parking lot.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I do. A few months ago, we discussed relooking at the TBD and potentially raising it up to the statutory limit of 0.3%. As we're moving forward, if we want that to be on a ballot in August, we need to have that pushed through for May. So we need to be discussing it, and I'd like to bring that back up so that we can budget proactively and have that fully squared away for the 2027 budget process.
Does anybody else have anything? I just want to say happy St. Patrick's Day. I love it all the green in the room. All right. So if that's everything, our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, April 7th, 2026 at 6 p.m. And the study session will be on March 24th, 2026. And this meeting is adjourned at 7:20 p.m.
I wanted on the agenda. No,